Hello everybody, welcome back to our third episode of Infinifactory. Get your pits primed for prime time. I could just about read that on the back of this thing. Oh, armpits are fine. It also says with Dr. Seymour Pits. Amusing stuff. Oh my god, we're back. Are you ready for some more puzzles? I am totally in the mood to do this. Resource site 526.81. Here we go. I imagine things are going to get a lot more difficult now. So let's see how well we can do with this. Oh man, this looks cool. Okay, so do we have a new block type? We do. Oh wow, it's the Rotator block. That's fantastic. I've been waiting to see something along those lines. Very cool. So we got to put two bits together and we got to rotate one half of it. Let's have a look over here. How does this thing work then? I think what it's trying to say is when it goes over, it's treated perhaps like it's going to move over again and it's going to rotate it one time around. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see that in action. That'll probably make a little bit more sense then. What is that? Is that the rotator block on its side? That is some sort of block that's permanently placed there. Oh, is that like a press? Is that going to put it on the side of the block that comes out here? Yeah, look, that doesn't actually have it on, does it? Also, Easter eggs. Is there a person around here? It doesn't look like it. The environment's quite different over here as well. Interesting stuff. So, I guess what we want to do... And we've only got one of these things, and we got to, oh no, we rotate them after we place them on. Okay, controls. So we bring them around like this, and let's put the rotator on our hotbar. Let's fly up a little bit here. So we're going to bring them out and probably rotate them here. So that'll rotate them once, and I imagine actually what happens is they get pushed along. Let's just see what happens. It'll be the one behind it that pushes it, rather than it just moving. It's also got an arrow. The arrow stays in the same direction. We'll find out what happens. That arrow there would indicate that maybe it doesn't go the way I'm expecting it to. So, down it drops, gets pressed, gets rotated, and then gets nudged. That sound, I think, means they're trying to send them the other way. So, the difference between these two is what direction they go in by the looks of it. So we'll simply cancel that out, plop down those, and now let's see what happens. Fast forwarded it a little bit there. Huh, makes the noise again. Well, here's another point. The image does show you having the conveyor belts in between. Let's put 8 there. Let's see what happens when we've got 8, because the arrow's the other direction. I'm very curious. I want to know how these things work. So it rotates. Doesn't seem like the arrow there actually makes any difference. It's when it gets nudged along that it moves on to the next one. Cool, so we know how to do that. And then what we've got to do is rotate them, get them into the correct position, weld them together, and then send them over here. Which might take me a while to figure out, who knows. Okay, I've learned something really important, and that's that you can't have a block next to this one, like underneath here, because I started off with a piston, and it refused to turn it, so when it's next to something there's no room for it to turn. The same if there's another block on the line directly behind it. So we sort of added a bit of a delay here. When something gets to the end, it's going to push off one of the inputs over here, which I don't think is the most efficient way in terms of cycles, but it does get the job done, because there's always going to be one sitting there, and when one comes off the end here, it's going to push it onto this track, then that one's going to get pushed along as well. Just realised that then means that one doesn't have a press on the side, which is a little bit of a problem. Okay, looks like we're going to go back to the drawing board. Okay, I think we might have this one in the bag now. We also don't need that block right there. With two downwards facing welders, we're going to weld whatever goes under there. We're slightly out of line though, so I think we might end up moving this over a little bit. Let's turn it this way and back that way. Awesome. Okay, so it's going to come down here. They should get rotated in the correct direction, so that when they drop, the first one's going to go over to that side. It will have the panel on its outside. The second one comes in, they get welded. When a third one comes along, they should get pushed. Yeah, they should get pushed down. I think that's going to work. Let's check it out. It might weld all three together. Let's speed this up a little bit. There we go. So the first one comes through. It's on the wrong side, so all we need to do is shift that. But in theory, I think that does work. Okay, attempt, possibly number 2. No, I think we've made a few more attempts than that. But yes, our second attempt at what I think is the actual solution to this. Let's speed it up a little bit. That comes in at the right side, and it gets nudged over. I thought that the next one, I guess the next one comes in and then pushes it over, doesn't it? Interesting. So we need to put our track on this side over here. It means it's going to be off by one as well. That shouldn't take us too long at all to fix. So are you in the right direction? You are. Go all the way to the end here. And then rotate it that way, rotate it that way. All of that can go. And that should be it. Let's see how it does. Not quite, not quite. We've got to do this one more then. Ah, always catches me out how that works. Okay, let's speed it up. And I think we have ourselves a solution. Yes, yes we do, we did it. Be interesting to see what our score is on this one. I don't think I've done it in the most efficient of ways, you know, there's many ways to solve these puzzles. And pretty average, probably a little bit below average on that one. Fair enough, I'm happy with that. Let's continue to our cell. Let's take on the next puzzle, which is block rotator. That is our new block type. Sorry, this is the puzzle. Landing alignment lights. That sounds cool. That sounds very cool, actually. Oh, all of this stuff is just so awesome. Really well themed. Okay, let's look for another little body. I don't think there's going to be any more. I don't know, I get that feeling all of a sudden. So there's our landing lights, or alignment lights even. So we get... Oh, do we have any new blocks? No. So we get the one thing in the middle, and a blue and a red on either side. Oh, no, wait, that's... What's going on here then? So we have... This is the bit we got to get it back to. So we've got to arrange them like that. Okay. That's quite a big structure compared to what we've done before. And this... Is that where they come out? There's a little thing down here. Can we click on that?
Floyd here with a few pieces of advice. Firstly, stop thinking you're some sort of victim. As my dad would say, you can be a victim or a survivor. He was a war vet and hard as nails. We're not the only ones they've abducted. Now, I've seen at least 2 other alien species. This whole situation, well, it's nothing like the TV shows. It's all much more mundane. Second thing, don't try to fight them. I've seen others freak out and get themselves killed. I've seen people try to sabotage things. And I tried that too for a while. When they hit me with that cattle prod, I learned my lesson.
Cattle prod.
It's not worth it. Think about it. Here you are, out in the middle of space. You need them far more than they need you right now. If you're like me and have a sense of self-preservation, you'll do what they tell you, even if you don't understand what they're saying. So, make yourself useful. It'll make your life much easier.
Some good advice there. I think no problem doing that. I'm really enjoying putting these things together for them. Oh, I do like these little logs. Oh, clicking on the wrong button. So the mistake I made there assembling that was just the space really, because it was going to come in and hit this piston right here. So here's what I'm thinking off the top of my head. Let's get rid of all of that. That we're going to bring one along and then push the other one out. And I've got to be careful here because the behaviour is going to be... Still not quite sure how this works. We need to space them out. So let's bring a track out like that and over here and just see what happens. Also, I wouldn't mind just putting one there. Okay, so a little test run. Oh yeah, they're all going to go out because of the tracks. So what we need to do is remove those 2. I think that will work. So the next one gets pushed. Alright, so it's the timing's a little different. Normally you have to have exactly 2 between, but I guess it depends on the timing of the delivery, so this one is different. That means that we put our piston here, we connect it with a conduit, and we put our track like that. This should now work, in theory. No! That's a little bit awkward then. Maybe I should have moved the other end. Let's give this one more try. So, oh, I actually want that there, don't I? So that stays. You get to go. Let's put the 7 there. It'd be interesting to see if this does work, because then it's not a timing thing. There's some sort of clause for it being directly in front of where it's ejected from. Okay, so second one comes along. Huh. That's quite curious, actually, as to how that's working. Is it me, or is it sending out 2 in quick succession? I don't know. Maybe I need to stop and think about this one. Looks like all it actually needed was a little bit more delay. So we started off with 2, then I thought we need 3. Maybe we actually needed 4. And there you go. Okay, so we successfully got them onto separate tracks. This is where we're going to rotate one and then bring them back together. So somewhere in here we'll have a little rotation setup, which is going to be interesting. I don't know if it's going to rotate if we have it on the outside block. Let's stop this for a second. If we rotate it here, is it going to turn all of those blocks around? I'm going to guess you probably have to rotate it in the middle, but let's do a little experiment together. Put one right there and find out what happens. No, it can rotate like that. Fascinating. Okay, so we can swing it all the way around. Oh, this is cool. So if we put in another swinging thing right here, let's go for the same direction. So now it's swung it all the way around. We then need to align them up. So let's say we brought out another track like this. Then we had a stopper, and at this point we decided, hey, we want to go in that direction. That would actually shove it back onto the same track. So let's see what happens now. I'll be surprised if this works, but who knows. Oh, I didn't expect that to happen. But it kind of works. It actually works. It puts them in the right bit. Okay, so now we need like a block here. Then we need to weld the four of them together and rotate one last time, if that's even possible, and then deliver them over there, because we're actually not... Yeah, we're not in the same alignment, are we? Oh no, we are in the same alignment. What am I on about? Also, red needs to be the last one. That's interesting. Okay, so let's quickly look at what's going to be first. First one out needs to be blue and red. Oh, accidentally placed something. And look at that. The first one out is red, then blue. So we have to rotate the entire thing around. Oh, this is going to be fun. So we have a little bit of a logistical problem here. The first one goes in, but then every other one comes in pairs. See that? So now it's a 3, and then it's going to be a 5. And then that one goes down, and now that they're in pairs, it's going to make them in 2 like that. Then the next one's going to be 2, and it's going to work how I intended. So something there's got to change. I was thinking if I remove a row of these, the first one will come out as a 4, but will the rest of them? I'm not sure. We'll have to play around and find out. Ah, this is puzzling. Now I do believe I have solved the problem, which would cause more problems. So I decided to remove the 3 on the front side. That seemed to do the job. If we just restart this thing, you'll see that what we want to do is rotate it around a little bit. So it goes in like that, and then it gets made, and it drops down onto this one and gets rotated twice very quickly like that. So the problem is, look at the way it comes out. We're just flipping it around, and it's going to stay in the same position once we've turned it all around, right? Because red's in that corner. When we rotate it, it's just going to be in the same corner on the other side. We need it to be the opposite way around, right? So what do we do here? Something's got to change at the way this gets assembled, and I'm not sure quite what that's going to be. I guess... Oh, I don't know. The first one out needs to be the one that gets rotated, not the second one. That is quite the problem. Okay, I think we've got this. It took me a while. I was going to go back to the drawing board and try and rethink the logic, but then I realised if we shift everything forward a little, we can actually rotate it in the beginning, which is interesting. Because you'll see here, as it rotates, it then needs to be pushed across and then pushed across again. So we've got those 2 extra tracks that kind of do that for us. So now they start off in the opposite direction and then get rotated again, which could be a little bit silly. Maybe some sort of divider before we rotate them. I don't know, there's probably a better way of doing it, but we'll come back to these puzzles again probably and take a look over them and see if we can do a better job. So at the moment I don't think we're going to go with this rotator thing over here. What I did want to look at is how we're going to deliver it. Look, it's right. I think we're just going to have a track that goes in a straight line and then sends it off to the right at the end. So, the height that this thing needs to be at, I believe, is 1 block higher than these. So let's remove them. Let's get in our conveyor belt. It's going to fall down over here, but we're going to start just back here. Rotate that and then drag it. Did it place one below? No. Now it's going to come all the way like this. And it's 1 block too high. Amazing. So we have to go a little bit lower. Okay, so does it actually land on that height? Can we drag it across if it's on the other blocks? We should be able to. Seems like that's the way the game was intended to work. So I think we have to drag it 1 more than that and then rotate it. And that should be all we need. Actually, what we need at the end here is a couple of blocks like this. Okay, that should be it. Let's see. It comes through, it gets created. Does it drop down onto the track okay? It does. The track moves it along. That's fantastic. And I think that is a flawless victory. Except for all the mistakes I made. Learning how to do this puzzle. Another terrific puzzle. That was really good. I do reckon you can do this a lot better though. There's got to be a smarter way to rotate them in the beginning. Because we're just rotating them twice. You just need to separate them and probably think it through a little bit more. How many more do we have to go? Like 3? 1? That was it. Very average. Cycle score wasn't very good. That's one to come back to, I think, for sure, because I feel like I could have done a much better job. So that was the landing alignment lights. Now it's time for the optical sensor array, Type 4. Ooh. Type 4, eh? Let's have a look for... Oh, look, we got a little guy, so I'll play the log and have a look around and think while this is playing.
Well, fluid again. That's 19 bodies so far. Quite a few more than usual. The overlords must have abducted a lot of people this time around. I've seen more dead humans in the past 2 weeks than in the last 10 years. I listened to their recorders, but they didn't say much. Most died of starvation or dehydration. This one got a snag in her suit, lost her air. Bad way to go. When this all started, we were put in groups of 2 or 3. That didn't work out too well, though. There was lots of talk about revolt or escape, like we were soldiers or something. There were 2 of them, Mary and Bill, who were just so antsy. They disappeared on one job. Wonder if they're still out there somewhere. I just didn't see the point. Disobey and they just throw you into space. Whoosh! Right out of the ship. Anyway, it wasn't long till we were all separated. Never saw those rebels again, or much anyone else.
So I wasn't paying 100% attention. Sounds like there was some sort of revolt. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Yeah, I think I've got an idea what we're going to have to do here, and it's going to be a tricky one. One thing I'm sure on is that, or at least we'll try to, contain our solution in this little area over here. So we have 4 presses, and I think we don't technically need to use all 4 individually, but I'm going to try and do that. And what we've got to do is basically, for each one of these that comes through, they've got to go through 5 different tracks. One's got to go on each of the presser, and one's got to be left over. We'll probably have to rotate 2 of them to then get them into this configuration. Actually looks, now that I look at it, wouldn't it make sense if we had them coming through on a track like this, and the last 2 to get pressed were the ones on this side over here? And then if we sent them through in a group of 3, first of all, across the middle, then they could get pressed on either side, we could rotate twice, and then we'd have to bring in another 2 from somewhere. So we would have to divide 3 for 2, which is something I tried to do earlier and found quite tricky. However, we used welding to overcome that, and in this case I don't think we can. So we could also potentially... Actually, I don't think this really would work, but imagine them getting pushed in and then having a rotator block in the middle, spinning them round and then doing them again. This one's going to be very tricky. It's going to take me a lot of time to think about. There's probably many ways you can solve it as well. Okay, very interesting puzzle right here. Okay, so that's one part of what we need to do right there, isn't it? And we use this, well, we've used this a few times, this kind of setup. And what I was initially thinking, though, is that you could have 5 blocks, or 3 and 2, detect when they come through and then push them off with pistons. But then I thought, well, why don't we detect when these 3 come through here, and if we can stop 2 further back, we can push those ones off with pistons. So, if I'm thinking about this correctly, we're not going to build the whole thing right now. If we have our detector on the edge there, well, we might as well build it, I guess. And I think we can remove this block and have the conduit come through, and then all of that should be structurally sound. So then we have the conduit go up and above, and then we have 2 pistons here. I'm not sure if this is going to work like straight away, but something along these lines. You should be able to see what I'm going for here. So we bring across 3, and they're going to make like normal. Okay, almost. So there needs to be a little bit of delay, or maybe this needs to be further back. Let's look. Yeah, that one was around here. Let's try that. Let's press R to stop and remove these 2 blocks, and then we shall move this further along. Oh, I think this could work. It's going to be a good one. Okay, so we bring it up here, go up above the pistons, and that might be it. Yes, and then we push 2 off. Amazing! Okay, so now what we need to do is rotate this one and then bring those around, which could be really tricky because we need 1 on either side, don't we? Oh man, how are we going to do that? We could even end up with a piston pushing one way and the other one the other way and have a track that runs around the back. But that feels a little bit big and bulky, and I'd like to try and keep these things kind of compact and clever. So maybe this isn't the solution we're actually looking for, but I do believe there is something to it, so we'll see what we can do. Okay, there appears to be a massive amount of potential to this idea. And I'm just looking at this and wondering if this thing is going to mess it up when we come through. Oh, do you know what we do need to do? We need to rotate it and press them again. Okay, so that's something I haven't considered, but I think this works. If we just raise this platform up a little bit, go across by one and put in 3 welders in this direction, we should weld everything into one big shape. So look at where I put the pistons. I put a block here, so we get one very close to this side. The other one, through natural timing, would be back there. I mean, couldn't we make this thing a little bit... Okay, right, I know this works. I know they're going to get pushed off at the right time. Can't we put one there, put a piston here, and make the overall thing just a little bit smaller? If not, let's remember that it's 4 blocks across. That might be what we're looking for. Okay, let's go for this. So in they come. Oh, this is going to work, isn't it? Ooh, okay, a timing issue. I didn't have that problem before, I'm sure of it. Product error, yes. I'm sure we didn't have that problem a moment ago. Maybe something changed here. This is a little bit too quick. Can we change that in any way? Something looks wrong over here. I think actually I know what the problem is. It's one of these tracks. Yes, it pushed it over to the side, but also the thing came through as well. Let's do that again. Not so fast. Okay, come up here, let me see what happens. So the 3 of you go across, and then the 4th one pushes you out of the way. That's not good. Okay. Okay, this might not work this way. Ah. Yeah, I'll see what I can do here. Oh, you saw it, that totally worked. Ha! I was just going to check, but that totally did it. So what we added was a tiny little bit of delay here. What I was fearing is that when this free thing comes across here, that it would get moved across to the side by that one. But this time it didn't. So all we need now is, I believe, we can probably fit in a rotation. Oh, we need to stop here and here. And that should be it. Let's do this. Bring it on. So in they go. Everything gets pushed around, they get rearranged, welded together, spun once, spun again. Looked like we only need to be spun the once there. That was interesting. So it spins it for the first block that arrives, then this one pushed it across, and then it might even continue pushing it, which is what it looked like it was going to do. So, once again, let's speed things up. Come through, my friends, get assembled. Huh. Oh, yes! Oh, that's a fist pump and a high five. That is so cool. Oh, I love it. I can't wait to see my score on this one. I can't help but feel I might have got a decent score. That was, I especially like this. That just works out so conveniently. Oh, great stuff. Really great. Okay, so 3 more to go through. Oh, I'm really pleased by that. That was truly good. It's my kind of puzzle game. And look at that, the footprint score was really decent. Block score wasn't too bad, and the cycle score was a bit low. Again, there's something else that comes along in the game later that I really think is going to help with that. So let's continue back to our cell. Got some more puzzles here to do. So I decided to split the puzzles up from this chapter into 2 parts because it took me a long time. I'm just editing the video and realising that it's going to be a very long one. So that's going to be it for this episode. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like on the video. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you next time. Bye bye.